Good afternoon and welcome to Madeira. My name's Caroline and I'm going to be travelling around this gorgeous island for the next couple of weeks with my other half Andy. This afternoon we've taken a very short drive from the Fanal Forest down to a levada called Levada Dos Cedros. It's just over 7 kilometres long, and because this levada needs to be done as a there and back, unfortunately as just an afternoon walk it's going to be a little bit too long. But we figure we might as well walk out along it and see how far we get before we have to turn around and go back so that we're not hiking in the dark. I love the autumnal feel that this levada has got to it. It's not autumn, it's the very end of July, but the amount of red and orange leaves that are all across the path and up on the sideways of the hills, and the contrast against the green of both the leaves but also the moss and the lichens. It's a very damp hike. The floor has definitely got a lot more wet patches and the entirety of the floor is wet, and I think it's just because of how up in the clouds that we are. It's an area that probably doesn't get much in the way of dryness, but the colours that it's bringing out and just I suppose the feel in the air as well is very autumnal, and I'm loving it. It's funny because when we were choosing on where we wanted to go for our main summer holiday this year, I had been very wary about coming to Madeira for a full 2 weeks and wondered if a week-long holiday might have been better. Even though I knew about the Levada hiking, I did worry that after 2 weeks they might start to become a little bit samey, but this is only the third one. And the first one had a real Mediterranean feel to it. It was very sunny, it was very exposed, and you had amazing views with the sorts of animals that you would expect in the Mediterranean, such as the lizards. And then on our second day, it just completely changed. It felt a lot more like Costa Rica, and I think it was the epic waterfalls that gave it that feel. And then having come into this Levada walk today, it just feels like a UK forest, but in autumn. And I think there's like a tiny bit of me that also thinks it's a little bit like Costa Rica. But unlike yesterday with the waterfalls, this part reminds me of Monteverde, which is like up in a cloud forest. 3 Levada hikes in, and all of them feeling so incredibly different. I'm starting to feel like maybe 2 weeks was a good shout. A group of hikers have just passed us, and they've got those really big backpacks on, you know, the kind that you can fit like a tent and camping, cooking equipment, sleeping bags and what have you. And what I'm assuming is they've probably camped up at the Fanal Forest, which is up at the top of this hiking trail, and then they're coming down, and I do wonder if they might be going on to the Levada 15, which can take you all the way down to the coastal town. If so, that is one heck of an epic hike. I suppose if you've come up here the day before and you've been able to camp overnight, it makes sense.
I always sense a little bit of sarcasm from it.
Oh.
It looks like there was some sort of landslip, and then if you look down there, all the trees have just gone. And there's sort of a new bit of levada and a new fence.
5 seconds later.
So we've just come to the other side, and we can see the old levada here.
Can walk it together.
No.
I've had my first casualty. I genuinely thought that it was probably going to be that I would step into the levada, and so normally when I'm doing these hiking videos I'll often be like walking backwards, and I just thought this is not a good idea on this particular trip. But nope, it wasn't the levada, it was a massive patch of mud that I just didn't see. I think I was trying to avoid stepping in the levada and my foot has just sunk right into it, so I've now got a very muddy and wet left foot. Time's beginning to press on just a little bit, and we do know that on this walk there is supposed to be a very beautiful waterfall. Unfortunately, tonight is our last night in the apartment that we're staying at in Arco de Calheta, and tomorrow we'll be moving on to new accommodation, which means that we've got to get packed. And we also really want to take advantage of the fact that we've got a laundry facility at our apartment, and we also don't have enough food to see us through for some packed lunches tomorrow. We've got so much stuff to do, but we also really want to see this waterfall. So I'm going to shut up this camera. We are going to power walk for a little bit because we don't think we're too far away from it. So we're really reluctant to turn back, but at the same time, I don't think we can go quite as slowly as what we have been doing. Hopefully, I'll see you guys at the waterfall. Another pretty cool lookout point onto just absolute cloud, but this time I don't think that there's been a rock fall because it seems perfectly overgrown here. Well, I've already dipped my foot in mud, so I'll do the whole walking backwards. But according to Google Maps, we are a matter of just 100 or so meters away from the waterfall, fingers crossed. We rather disappointingly are thinking that there is a potential that that waterfall may have been it. So we're just going to keep wandering up the Levada just a tiny bit more in the hope that it will wrap around to the next little valley, and maybe Google's just ever so slightly off. There's a staircase just off of the Levada and it leads up to what I've seen online to be a spectacular viewpoint, but today it's just so cloudy, it just looks out over clouds. The lower section seems to be through boulders, but if I'm able to scramble up this point, I think that there is a bit more of like a sheer drop waterfall, but it's not easy and it's not along a Levada style path to get up to this one. There I was thinking Andy's nice and distracted a little bit further down, and there is a much taller waterfall, but it's a bit more of a trickle, and I could eye this one up just through the trees. So I was like, I'm gonna go up to that while she's distracted down there. And he's obviously seen me out the corner of his eye and thought, where's she off to? And he followed me straight on up. The amount of algae that is on the rocks made it incredibly slippery. Andy has absolutely stacked it. He is okay, but I do have a little bit of a thing. Way back in one of my earliest vlogs, I hiked up Latrick, which is a really easy hill in the Lake District, and we were in fairness on the accessible section of it. And this never made the vlog because my friend obviously didn't want for it to be documented, but she took quite a terrible stumble on an accessible part of what was a very easy hike and ended up in hospital. And so to me, anytime when I'm out hiking and anyone takes a tumble, it's just a really, really horrible feeling. I myself was slipping a little bit on some of the algae of the rocks, but was able to keep my footing. Andy has unfortunately lost a filter for his camera to this waterfall stream. So that can be our gift to Madeira. Sorry, we don't mean to litter, but this could not be helped. We stopped and tried looking for it for quite some time, but with no avail. The three waterfalls that are here are beautiful, don't get me me wrong, but I think just because it's quite late on in the day, we perhaps were like rushing, and maybe this is just one of those hikes that needs a full day giving to it to really take it all in and enjoy it. Given that the way back is exactly the same way as which we came, I am going to wrap up this video now. Hopefully it's given you guys a bit of inspiration. It is honestly a beautiful, beautiful hike. I just think you need to allow a little bit more time and just don't be really, really rushed on those slippery algae rocks. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.